2.5 weeks in quarantine at home where I couldn't go to work, I couldn't work from home. So other than make YouTube videos, there was really nothing for me to do for those 2 weeks. So I watched a lot of shows and a lot of movies. This is maybe my fourth Netflix video that I've made, and this is by far the longest my list has ever been. And as you guys also know, I usually drink wine when I do these videos. However, we have bottles of wine, but none of them are open, and I don't want to open one just for me, and I don't think it's wine that I like anyway. So we're doing beer today. So today's gonna be a beer and Netflix video. For some reason, our fridge downstairs always looks like it belongs in a frat house. We always have so much beer. There was a keg in there at one point. So we always have beer. So it was either a Stella or a Coors Light. And I don't know, Stella just seems fancier even though it's really not. I don't know if you can see the bubbles moving in there, probably not. So anyway, that's what we're gonna be drinking today. So let me open it. I have this Myrtle Beach magnet that we've had for a couple of years. Absolutely no idea where it came from because we've had it for a while. But let me just open it really quick. That never happens to me. Stop it. It's probably because I had it laying down. Alright. I brought a glass with me before this gets even messier. Let me get rid of this. There she is. Let me just take a sip. I'm drinking beer in a video. This is so weird. This is a Guinness glass, as you will see. You see the bubbles in there. I don't like Guinness, but my stepdad does. That's his favorite beer, so this is like his favorite glass that I probably shouldn't be using, but it's fine. Alright, so let me get my list. I have my list there. There it is. So, none of these I don't think I spoke about in my last video. So, I'm just gonna kind of go through, but because I have so many, I'm gonna try to move a little quicker than I think I normally do. But I'm just gonna tell you about them, what I thought of them, a little synopsis, that kind of thing. Alright, so the first one on my list is Shameless. Now that I have been watching for a while. Shameless is about a very dysfunctional family. There are 1, 2, 3. Whenever I make these drinking videos, my throat makes a lot of noise. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 or 6 kids, and they live with a single father, but he is not a father to them at all. He's a drug addict and an alcoholic. He doesn't have a job. He just contributes nothing. So the kids essentially take care of themselves. The actress Emmy Rossum, I think that's how you pronounce it, she plays the eldest child, and so she basically is raising her siblings. So it's a drama, but it's also a comedy. It's funny. You fall in love with the family. It's one of those shows where it makes you feel like you are part of the family and a part of, the cast, and you feel for them and you're rooting for them. It's very raunchy. It is like definitely rated R. There is drugs and, you know, the language, and it's just, you know, they don't hold back. So it is for sure not for younger audiences. So if you are under 18, don't watch that one. There are 10 seasons, and I believe this is the last season. It just finished airing, so it's not on Netflix yet. Seasons 1 through 9 are on Netflix, and I finished them all in a couple of months. And I'm currently making my way through season 10, and I think I'm on like the 3rd episode, so I have a little bit to go. But I love it. I do. It hooks you for sure. Okay, the next one. The name of this one just sounds bad, but I promise it's not what it sounds like. It's called Toy Boy. It's on Netflix, and it takes place in Spain, I'm pretty sure. So it's not in English. It's dubbed, so I watched it with English subtitles and English dubbing. So you don't hear the Spanish at all, unless you manually turn it on. And it's like a mystery type of show, drama. And the reason it's called Toy Boy is because it revolves around this group of men who work at a strip club called Toy Boy, whatever it's called in Spanish, I forgot, but the literal English translation is Toy Boy. That's why it sounds a little sus. But it's really good. I watched it a while ago, but from what I remember, the main guy is like framed for a murder that he didn't commit, and so basically the whole show is about clearing his name. And of course he falls for his lawyer, and she falls for him, and so there's a romance element to it. But I really liked it. I did. It wasn't like centered around the fact that they were strippers, but they did have a couple of dance numbers in the show. There were some Magic Mike moments for sure, but it wasn't centered around that. There's only one season. From what I remember, they left it open for another one, so I would guess that there's a season 2 coming at some point. But yeah, that one is on Netflix. I think it's a Netflix original. I watch a lot of Netflix originals. They're all so good. And the main girl, the lawyer that he falls for or whatever, she was in the Netflix show Elite that I also spoke about in another Netflix video, so that's why I like saw her picture and I was like, oh, I know her, and that's why I clicked it and started watching it. So I really like that one. The next one is not a Netflix original. It's a movie, but it also wasn't in theaters either. It was like a small, I guess you could call it like an independent project. I think I'll explain. It's called Code 8, and it's very sci-fi, futuristic, that kind of thing. And I had been hearing about it for probably like 3 or 4 years now, maybe more. If any of you know Stephen and Robbie Amell, Stephen Amell was Arrow in the CW show Arrow, and Robbie Amell is his cousin in real life, who's also an actor. He was in Life with Derek, if any of you remember that Disney Channel show from 10 years ago, more. That was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, so that's how I know Robbie, and I've always had a little crush on him since I was little. He's beautiful. They're both beautiful, but Robbie's beautiful. Anyway, so this is a movie that they have been working on. I don't know if they produced it. They didn't write it, but they had a hand in the development of it, and they've been trying to raise money to get the movie made for years. I remember when the fundraiser first started, and they finally met their budget and filmed the movie, and it wasn't in theaters, but it was released online, so it's on Netflix. It's futuristic. It's about about certain people that are born with like powers or abilities, and they're, you know, treated almost as like criminals in society. So Robbie's character falls in with like this crowd of people with abilities, but they use it for bad things like robbing banks and whatever. So he gets involved with them because his mom is sick and he's trying to, you know, raise money to help save her life, and, you know, like that whole thing. I watched it honestly because I like the two of them. My expectations were very low, and I feel horrible saying that, but I didn't think it was going to be that great. It was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end. The acting, the storyline, the graphics, like everything. I thought it was great. I did. I watched that one in quarantine. The next one is a Netflix original, and I'm gonna go to the Netflix app to look for the synopsis because I don't really know how to explain it. It's called The King, and it's like 2.5 hours long. It's really long. It stars Timothy Chalamet, Joel Edgerton, Robert Pattinson from the Twilight movies. And the synopsis says, wayward Prince Hal must turn from carouser, I don't even know what that is, to warrior king as he faces hostilities from inside and outside the castle walls in the battle for England. Okay, so I remember now. So, basically, he's a very young kid, and his dad, the king, gets sick and dies, and he has to prove himself as worthy of like being the king because he was very irresponsible and blah 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 blah. But he's a great fighter, and he leads his people in a war. And I want to spoil it for you, but it's really good. It's very long. It's 2.5 hours. I remember I watched that movie right after I got my test done, my corona test done. So like that test was horrible, so I just wanted to go home, and my family and I just sat and watched that movie. So it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. But I enjoyed it. So if you're into like medieval things, that was a horrible way of describing it, but you know, like kingdoms and kings and rulers and wars and all that, you would like that. Sword fighting, lots of blood, that kind of thing. The next one I am kind of sort of still watching. I'm watching Ozark on Netflix, and the only reason I really started watching it is because a lot of people I knew were watching it. A lot of my best friends, my stepdad started watching it, and everybody really liked it, and so everybody was talking about it, and I never knew what anybody was talking about because I wasn't watching it. So that's why I started it. It stars, oh my gosh, what's his name? His character's name is Marty Bird. Oh, okay, I have to look now. And I wasn't gonna watch it because the main guy, whose name I'm gonna tell you in a second, Jason Bateman, there you go. I'm normally not a big fan of him. I don't know why. There was not one distinct thing that made me not like him. He just doesn't really do much for me. I don't know. But anyway, it's about a man by the name of Marty Bird, who he has a wife and 2 young kids. I think his daughter's like 15 and his son is 12 or 13, something like that, 14, I don't know. He gets involved in money laundering for a drug cartel in a business scheme that he shouldn't have been a part of. And essentially, long story short, he involves his family. His wife, who I'm not a fan of either, her character though, not the actress, she gets involved, and she's very sketchy in my opinion. And then the young kids have to get involved because he has to uproot his family and move them to another area. And the kids basically get involved and help him, and they're counting the millions and millions of dollars that she's super tough, and she meets Marty in the place that he moves his family to, and they become like kind of business partners in a way. So there's 3 seasons. The 3rd season just came out like a month ago, maybe. I have 1 more episode of season 2 and then I'm done, but I haven't watched it in like almost 2 weeks. It was getting very draggy for me, and so I'm gonna finish season 2 just because I feel like I should finish the season, and then depending on how that episode ends, then maybe I'll watch the 3rd season. I don't know. My friend, he finished it already, and he said that it was okay. I was like, well, that's not really convincing, so we'll see how that goes. But it's a show that I was kind of watching just to watch. But if you're into that sort of thing, it's a very well-made show. I don't know. It didn't hook me as much as other shows did, I guess. The next one, Tiger King. Tiger King I watched in 24 hours. It was before I was quarantined. It was like the week before I was quarantined. But just on my day off, on my weekend, I watched it, the whole thing, in 24 hours. Tiger King is like, it's not an actual show. It's more of a documentary series. I think there are, 6 or 7 episodes, something like that. And it tells the story of a man named Joe Exotic. Mostly Joe Exotic, but it's about other people too. And all of these people basically that they introduce you to are involved in like managing and owning zoos, and more specifically tiger like sanctuaries, but they're not really sanctuaries, and it's crazy. I know I posted about it on my Instagram story the day I started watching it, and all of you were like, it's so crazy, it's so wild, just keep watching, and you were exactly right. It's just all these people are involved in all of these illegal things, but they act like it's so normal. They're all just so crazy. There's another guy who had like 5 wives. Joe Exotic himself had 2 husbands at the same time. Like, they had a wedding for the 3 of them. And there's the iconic Carol Baskin, who, I'm assuming that most of you have seen this. She owns like another tiger sanctuary, and her and Joe are rivals, and she may or may not have been involved with her husband's disappearance. Everyone thinks that she fed him to the tigers. I don't know if she actually fed him to the tigers, but I think that she was involved somehow, because somebody just doesn't go missing without a trace, and then she stops looking and remarries like it's no big deal, you know what I mean? Anyway, that show is a roller coaster. It's great though. It's iconic. I love it. And apparently, I don't know if this is true, but I read that there may be a season 2 because there's more information to be released. Oh, I hope so. I'm all for it. So, that's Tiger King. The next one isn't on Netflix. Well, the first season is. It's the show All American, and I've spoken about it in probably like my first or second Netflix video. Oh, my leg's falling asleep. It's a CW show, so it's very like teen drama, kind of, but most of the actors, like always, are not high school age. They're all like 30, so they don't look like high schoolers, so that I think makes it easier to watch for me, if that makes sense. But the second season aired already on the CW. Did I finish the second season? Oh no, I'm sorry, I lied. The second season is on Netflix now. I started watching it as it was airing months ago, and then it just became too hard, so I just waited until it came back on Netflix. So I'm sorry, I lied. Both seasons are on Netflix, and it's centered around a high school football team, but there's a lot of drama that goes with it. Friend drama, family drama. They talk about mental absolutely beautiful, so that makes it easy to watch. One of the main guys, Jordan, I think he's the quarterback, right? Yeah, he's the quarterback. That man's beautiful. And it's just really good. I don't know, it's, if you're into like soapy kind of shows, you would like it a lot. I recommend it, and I watched the first season last year, or almost 2 years ago when it first came out, and I told everyone to watch it, and everyone was like, oh no, that doesn't look that good. And now all of a sudden, since the second season's come out, everybody loves it, and I was like, but I told you this a year ago. So anyway, I like to say I'm one of the first people that got onto that show. So the next one is a movie on Netflix. It's called Sunrise in Heaven. It's a very feel-good movie, but it also has a pinch of the Notebook vibes, like the ending, if you know what I mean. That's very sad. It basically is centered around an older couple, and it goes back in time, and they kind of tell their story. And it's, an army guy who falls in love with one of the women who works on the base, who works in the cafeteria, and her dad forbids her from seeing him, but they fall in love, and he has to prove himself to the dad, and blah 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 blah. It was just it wasn't lighthearted, but I don't know, it made me feel good. I like stories like that. The ending was a little sad from what I remember. I remember I was watching it on my break at work, because us, in the director's room at work, we do that, where if we have an hour break, we'll all go on our computers and just watch an episode of whatever we're all watching at the time, or sometimes, we'll watch it together, whatever. So I watched that movie at work, most of it, and I remember I looked at my coworker and I was like, it is too early for all of the emotions that I'm feeling right now. So yeah. The next one is also a movie on Netflix. It's called Love, Wedding, Repeat. It wasn't that good, but it was kind of funny. It took me about 2 days to watch it, because I stopped halfway, and then I finished watching it the next day. So that's kind of how you're not super into it. But essentially, it's about this woman and her brother, and she's getting married, and this guy who she cheated on her fiance with shows up at the wedding drunk or high and threatens to expose their secret, and so the brother is trying to help her, keep a handle on that. But then he's also dealing with his own stuff, where his ex is there, and this girl that he's also into is there. It's just a web of drama happening. But it has its funny moments. I don't know any of the characters' names, or any of the actors' names, I should say. But it was okay. If you're having a girls' night, well, we can't actually have girls' nights with quarantine, but if you're doing a Netflix hangout or something, or all of your friends want to watch something and then talk about it later, I guess that would be a good one. Oh, okay. The next one I watched, it's not on Netflix, but I watched the Rocketman movie, which is basically the story of Elton John. And it goes through his life from childhood and his dysfunctional parents to getting into fame, and all of his struggles with drugs and alcohol, and his sexuality, and thoughts of suicide and everything. I didn't know any of that about Elton John's life, really. And it was just, they made it into a musical and basically told his story, kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody with Freddie Mercury, that kind of thing. It was great. It was a little long, but I love Elton John's music, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it by myself because my family had already seen it, and I loved it. He's played by what's his name? Taron Edgerton, I think. He plays the main guy in the Kingsman movies. If you know what I'm talking about. He was phenomenal, and they actually made him look like a young Elton John. They like shaved his hairline up and dyed his hair more like orangey brown and gave him all the glasses, the gap in his teeth. Like it was, oh, he was so good. He really was. And so then of course I went and I looked up interviews of him and Elton John, and him singing with Elton John, because they did a few concerts together, and he sings so well, and you can tell that they've like built a friendship, the two of them. It's really cute. So especially if you love Elton John, I would 10 out of 10 recommend that movie. And then on that note, I then started looking up Taron Egerton, I can't say his name, Egerton, because I wanted to like know what else he was in. And he did a movie called Eddie the Eagle, which is based on a true story. I had never heard of Eddie the Eagle before, but essentially he was a man that entered the Olympics for ski jumping, and he always, from the time he was a little kid, had dreams of being in the Olympics, but he wasn't good at anything. And so he discovers ski jumping, and he decides that he wants to do that, and he's not very good at it. But then he meets Hugh Jackman, who used to be a ski jumper, and then he becomes his coach, and they're very good together, and he essentially makes it to the Olympics, but he's not very good. He just like barely qualified, but he didn't care about being number one. He just always had a dream of going to the Olympics, and the crowd falls in love with him. It's such a feel-good movie. It made me cry a little bit at the end, because you just end up falling in love with him and rooting for him. Yeah, that Taron guy, the actor, he's super underrated, because I mean, I've only seen those two movies and the Kingsman movies with him, but he's amazing. So I hope that his career kind of takes off now, because he's so good. Also, I think my stepdad does yard work every day. Usually he's in the backyard. I feel like he's right outside my window in the front, which he never is. So if you hear anything, I'm sorry. I'm almost done, kind of. The next show is a Netflix original show. Man, this beer is like, I feel like I need to burp, and I don't want to burp on camera. Anyway, it's a show called Outer Banks, and it just kind of popped up one day when I didn't have anything to watch, so I watched it, and I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. It's another teen drama show, but it's not like, the kids are supposed to be young, even though most of the actors are either my age or older than me. But it's not like centered around, again, like their high school careers. Like I think you see them in school once out of the whole first season. But it's another mystery thing. The main character, his dad died the day before, but he didn't really know how. So part of the show is discovering how his dad died and who killed him. And then his dad was also looking for this like hidden treasure, where it was like, I think it was like $40 million worth of gold or something. And everyone thinks that he's like a phony and it's not real and he's just wasting his time. But then the main guy and his 3 friends end up actually finding it. And it's called Outer Banks because they all live on like an island, which is on the outer banks of this big river. So you always see them in boats, and that's how they travel from place to place, which I think is really cool and different, for me at least. And it's really good. It like hooked me more than most things on this listed. And I think it's like number 1 or 2 on Netflix right now. Oh my gosh, Mom, I hear her. I love, like, side note, quarantine has had us all, if we live with our families, spending a lot of time with our families more than normal, which is great. But oh my goodness, I can't wait for everybody to go back to work. It is so hard to film, guys. It is so hard. my editing has like multiplied by 100 because I have to cut a bunch of things out. Anyway, sorry, I had to let that little rant out. Anyway, Outer Banks, I would recommend. The next one is the next two, really. The second seasons are currently airing on the CW right now. It seems like all I watch is the CW. I actually really don't watch TV. In the Dark is the first one, and Roswell, New Mexico is the second one. And I both saw them for the first time on Netflix, because again, I don't watch TV really. The only show I watch weekly live on TV is The Voice. Other than that, I watch Netflix and Hulu, and that's about it. But last year I watched both shows, the first season on Netflix. In the Dark is probably my favorite show right now. The first season's on Netflix, the second season, like I said, is currently airing on the CW. And it's like a murder mystery. It follows the main character, whose name is Murphy. She is blind, but very independent. She's had trouble with alcohol and just being very unhappy. And she meets this guy in the first season he's a young kid, but they become very close friends. And he is murdered. And so the first season is all about finding out who killed him. And now the second season, I think this week will be the third episode of the second season, so we're just starting. But it's basically about proving that the person who killed him. There is a little romance storyline in it. And I like it because there are only really 6 or 7 main characters. And it's mostly just them in the show. And you can tell that they're all, like, I've watched interviews with them and they're all very close in real life. And you can tell, like, their chemistry is very good, which makes watching the show more enjoyable. The writing is great. And it just hooks you. Like, I like mysteries, as you can tell. So it just really hooks you. The cast is great. The writing is great. And I would highly recommend it. And on the same wavelength, Roswell, New Mexico. I don't know if any of you know, like, the story of Roswell. Roswell used to be even, like, an older show back when I was a kid. It's about, alien sightings in Roswell, New Mexico, and the aliens who look human-like living among the humans. And I like the cast. The main girl used to be a dancer on So You Think You Can Dance years ago, like probably more than 10 years ago at this point. I think her name is Janine Mason or something like that. So that's where I first saw her, because I used to dance when I was younger. So I used to be all things dance, Dancing with the Stars, So You Think You Can Dance, all of that. I was obsessed. And that again I found the first season on Netflix last year, and I watched the whole thing in like a day or two, and I loved it. So we're about halfway through the second season right now. It airs, In the Dark airs on Thursdays, and Roswell airs on Mondays at 9 p.m. So I've been watching that, and I really like it. I only have one more movie. It's called Summer Night. It wasn't very good. I think I watched it yesterday. And it's about a group of friends who are very dysfunctional. All the guys are in a band together. And one of them gets his girlfriend pregnant. The other one is in love with a girl who doesn't really want him. The other one is just a drunk. The other one, I don't even remember. It's a very short movie. Like, it goes by very fast. There's not much of a plot to it, but the acting is pretty good, I guess. It was one of those movies that I watched because I didn't have anything else to watch, honestly. So if you have nothing else to watch and you want to watch something, I guess I would recommend it, but it's I just wrote it on the list for the sake of writing it, but it does have a pretty good ending, I would say. say about that movie because it didn't have much of a plot. What's her name? She was a Nickelodeon star. She's in it. From Victorious. Victoria Justice. That's her name. She's in it. She doesn't have a big part, but she's a girl that kind of gets involved with one of the guys. I'd say she's about in like half of the movie. She's beautiful though. That girl's beautiful. She plays kind of like a free spirit. I think she's got like a nose ring and all these rings and the leather pants, but she looks good. She can pull it off. I'm about done. Just finish it. Probably should have said this at the beginning of the video for YouTube purposes. I am of legal drinking age. I just realized as I downed the rest of that beer. 23, almost 24. I can legally drink, so YouTube, don't come for me. If you are not of legal drinking age wherever you live, do not drink. I am not condoning that. Yeah, I don't drink like at all anymore just because I can't go anywhere or do anything, go to restaurants or out with friends or anything. So that was one little treat for me, just like old times. But anyway, that was my list of things that I've been watching. I feel like there's probably more that I'm missing, but I can't think of anything right now. Like always on these videos, if you want to recommend anything to me or to any others in the comment section, let me know. Just write me a little note down there and I will look into it, because now, other than In the Dark and Roswell, which are on TV, as far as Netflix, I don't have anything to watch. So if you have Netflix or Hulu recommendations, leave them for me in the comments and I will look through them. So, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I always forget to remind you guys, but my links are always in the description. The links to my Instagram, which I use every day, all day. My account is private, but I accept everybody. And that's where I interact with you guys mostly. So my Instagram is in the description. My TikTok is in the description. My guilty pleasure that I love. What else do I have? My Patreon link. If you want 3 extra videos from me a month, it's down there. I'm missing a link. Oh, my Twitter. That's all down there. So if you want to connect with me outside of YouTube, just go follow those links down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.